In this lesson, we're going to talk about savings plans and investments, which means this time now we're going to talk about making regular deposits. So in the last, when we were talking about simple and compound interest, we were talking about um, lump sum savings. Now this time we're making regular deposits, say having money automatically come out of your paycheck into a savings account, or automatically coming out of your paycheck and going to a retirement account, or you manually transferring money, the same amount of money each time every week, or something to that effect. And in these calculations that we're going to be doing, we're going to use what we know as a TVM solver, so time value money solver. It's built into the graphing calculator, and there's also a free version online through GeoGebra using those links provided. So if you are using a graphing calculator, well, if you're using GeoGebra, the web address is this. You can also Google it. You can also just use the link that I have in Canvas. Or if you're using a graphing calculator, it's in the apps. So you'll see the apps button on the third row of the keyboard on your graphing calculator. When you hit the apps button, you might have a whole list of different things, but you'll see finance. And so finance is the first one on the list, regardless of how many things you have on the list. You hit enter to start it, and then the first one on the list is TVM solver, and you would hit enter again to enter into the TVM solver. So either option is available, whether it's using the online free online one, or if you have a graphing calculator, you can use that. So now the information, so each one of these things is different. So N represents the total number of payments. I is the interest rate, and you don't change it to a decimal. It's just the rate without changing to a decimal. Present value, again, in our savings plans, we are going to start with 0. We're going to assume that we have no money in our account when we start this account. Payment, that's how much money, and note here that the amount of money is always a negative because it's coming out of your account or your pocket. Even if it's going from your paycheck into your savings account, it's coming out of your pocket and going into something else. So it's always a negative to you. The FV is your future value. P/Y is the number of payments per year. Okay, so the total payments is how total amount of payments that are happening. The payment P/Y is how many payments per year. This is the same idea as the N when we were doing compounding period. And cycles per year, for what we're going to do, we're going to just make it the same as P/Y. Depending on if you're using a phone app, or sometimes or the TVM solver online, you actually have to type that in. If you're using the graphing calculator, it automatically changes. So it varies from calculator to calculator. And the other thing that's important for at least the graphing calculator, it doesn't happen on the phone app or on the online version, is just to make sure that this end is also highlighted if you're using a graphing calculator. Okay, so that's kind of just the basics of setting that up. All right, so let's look at an example. Suppose you invest $100 bi-weekly. Okay, so remember, bi-weekly is getting paid every 2 weeks, and there's 26 of those in a year. Okay, so $100 bi-weekly for 10 years at an APR of 6%. All right, so when we type this in, it's going to look like this. So 6% is the 6. We're starting out with nothing. We're depositing $100, so we're investing $100, so that's negative 100. and then we're doing it 26 times. So this n right here is 26 times 10, and you can type it in exactly as that. 26 times 10 we probably can do in our head, but let's say this was 26 for 17 years, and rather than um, trying to do 26 times 17 in your head, you just type in 26 times 17, in this case 26 times 10, and the calculator, whether it's the phone app, whether it's graphing calculator and or the TVM solver, it will put that in and it'll change it for you. So I'm going to go over to the TVM solver, the online version, and because they all work the same. So I'm going to type in 26 times 10. And then I'm going to go and type in 6. So notice that 26 times 10, it changed to 260. 6%. We're starting out with nothing. We have, where our payment is negative 100. And our payments per year are 26 times per year. Notice when I just hit the cursor, the C/Y immediately changed to 26. Again, sometimes you have to actually put that in. Now for FV, so we want to know how much money we're going to end up at the end. Right here it says solve for the future value. I can solve for any of these things, which comes in very handy for different problems. So this says $35,570.5. Remember that we round all our money to two decimal places. So I need to click into that so I can find out the actual, what the pennies are for that. The one caveat for the graphing calculator, so we have 26 times 10. And then I go down, I can either go down or hit enter, doesn't matter. 6. We're starting out with no money. Our payment is negative. Keep in mind the negative key, not the minus key. So the negative key, we've got to make sure we hit the negative key. So that's one difference. So negative 100. Our future value, we don't know. That's what we're going to ask for. 26 is the number of times per year. If I hit enter, the 26 automatically changes. Now for the graphing calculator, I have to have a number in here for it to solve. So it doesn't matter what number it is. Unlike the phone app or the online version, you don't have to have a number in there. It can be left blank. But for the graphing calculator, you have to have some number. Again, it makes no difference which one it is. And now to get it to solve, I have to use the green button. So alpha and the enter key will get the same answer. So $35,570.59, which is the same thing. I end up here. Notice it only gives me those two decimal places, which is all that I need. So $35,570.59. All right, so when we invested $100 for 10 years, every 2 weeks, we end up in the bank account $35,570.59. How much was invested? Well, the amount that was invested was $100 every 2 weeks for 10 years. That's the total amount invested, or the total amount that is deposited. So you end up with $26,000. Yes, $26,000. Right? No, that's not right, is it? Yes. My math in my head just didn't seem to make sense at the moment. All right, so we end up with $26,000. What is the net gain? In other words, how much money did we actually earn? So how much interest was earned? So we're going to take our $35,570.59 and subtract from how much was invested, so the $26,000, to give us how much we actually gained in our investment. So we gained $9,570.59. Okay, so we invested $26,000. Remember, this was not a lump sum amount. This was just $100 every 2 weeks. So like out of our bank accounts. So what percent went towards the investment and what percent went towards the amount earned? So the total amount is $35,000. We invested $26,000, so $26,000 out of the total. So the amount, the percent towards the investment, if we divide those two numbers, that gives us how much went towards the investment, which was 73.1%. Which is a lot of money that went towards the investment. We only earned, so we can do one of two things. We can take the 9570.59 out of the total, 35,570.59. We can divide those, or we can subtract the 73.1% from 100, that because we have 100%, so we know that this is going to be 26.9%. So generally speaking, when we're making an investment, we want these numbers to be flipped. We want the amount earned to be somewhere near the 60, 70%, 80 or 90% would even be great, because we want a lot more of the interest earned. We want more money coming to us versus us putting in so much money. So this is not a great, what we call return on our investment, or ROI.